This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're not reviewing a phone, and I do have a micro SIM in my hand right here. That's because we're going to talk about unlocking phones, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. This happens to be a Samsung Galaxy S5 right here. It doesn't really matter so much what phone we're talking about, though. In this case, as long as it's a GSM phone, and in the United States that means T-Mobile and AT&T for the big carriers, you can unlock your phone to use it on other carriers. It gets to be a complicated thing, though, because you also want to make sure if you're doing that the proper bands are supported. Now, you'll get voice and Edge 2G data. Remember 2G? Yeah, a long time ago. But on most phones these days across AT&T and T-Mobile phones, often even 3G, not always LTE. So if you're thinking about getting a phone that's sold by a competing carrier from your carrier in the United States, make sure it has the LTE bands, and usually the specs page on our reviews certainly will tell you which LTE bands are supported, and also the manufacturers. But that said, you people who are on Sprint and Verizon, that uses CDMA, not GSM. Different kind of network technology. Unlocking phones doesn't apply there. That's a whole other complicated kind of thing there. So this is really for you people who want to take a phone to use it on GSM networks overseas, have AT&T, have T-Mobile, or one of the MVNOs, which means a virtual operator that uses one of the big carriers' networks or a subsidiary network. For example, on Sprint, Boost Mobile, Virgin also, they are subsidiaries of Sprint. So if you want to take a Sprint phone and use it on Boost, unlocking doesn't apply, because this doesn't apply, once again, to CDMA phones. But if you're talking about AO Wireless or Cricket Wireless, their MVNOs are subsidiaries on AT&T, you can do it. And there's also subsidiaries on T-Mobile's network. And again, like I said, if you want to go overseas, of course, then, well, there you go. You unlock the phone, and you'll probably at least get Edge for data, 3G, and definitely voice on the phone. So why not just call up your carrier and get the unlock code? You can do that. You should do that if you can do that, because that is free. The trick is often when phones come out, carriers don't have the unlock codes for a couple of months. The other thing is you have to be a customer in good standing. That means usually around 3 months of service, you've been paying your bills on time, that kind of thing. So if you're buying the phone off Craigslist, if it was your Uncle Pete's phone in the drawer and he no longer has service on that carrier, so he can't call them up and ask for the unlock code, you're going to need one. You can also buy unlocked phones too. There are importers who sell unlocked phones as another alternative. They're often very expensive. So often it is cheaper just to go on Craigslist and say, hey, I want to pick up the Samsung Galaxy S4. That's now last year's model. It's discounted. So where do you get unlock codes? Well, our unlock code has been supplied by sellunlocker.net. Now there's another company that's just sellunlock.net. This one is sellunlocker.net. And they sell codes for $35. So if you can't get one free from the carrier, you're going to have to pay somebody to get that code. And there's a lot of places. Some of them are reputable on the net, like sellunlocker.net is. And there's some iffy ones, and there's some on eBay, and you never know who you can trust. So if you're going to share your phone's IMEI number, which you have to do, that's the phone serial number, which you can usually find in the About section of your phone. You want to know it's somebody reputable, and, well, these folks are. So they gave us an unlock code for the new Samsung Galaxy S5. I happen to have the T-Mobile version here I'm going to unlock, and we're going to see how that goes right now and how it works. Okay, so here we have the Samsung Galaxy S5. This one happens to be, like I said, on T-Mobile. They don't brand the shell on it, but trust me, it's my T-Mobile phone. If we swipe it down, you'll see T-Mobile at the bottom right there. T-Mobile US, that is. Now, being that this is a Samsung Galaxy, this brings up one more interesting point. Recent Samsung Galaxy phones are also region locked. That means locked to a region of the world. Yeah, so that makes it a little bit more complicated. So what do you have to do if you have a Samsung Galaxy Note 3, Galaxy S3, S4, S5, is you actually have to use it once with the actual proper carrier SIM, the one it was meant to come with, if you got one that's not sold unlocked, that comes locked to a carrier. After that, you can unlock it. So that makes things a little bit more complicated, and cellphoneunlocker.net actually has an explanation of how it works with the Galaxy phones and telling you better do that first. Or have the original owner, if they're selling it to you, make sure to actually put their proper SIM card in there once to do that. So, easy enough to do after you provide the IMEI of the phone. Most unlockers will provide you some instructions in the email about how to do it, but almost all phones are going to work the same way. First will be nice, turn the phone off before we yank out its battery and swap its SIM card. And I have my little unlock code right here that I got via email from them, so take out the SIM card and put in the SIM card you wish to use. So I'm going to take out the T-Mobile SIM card here, which is not the easiest thing to get to because it's underneath the micro SD card. Alright, so I finally gotten the SIM card out. Kind of a pain to get out here. It's not a spring-loaded SIM slot, so I actually used a little piece of tape on the end to kind of grab it and pull it out of here, but that's just the way the Galaxy S5 is. And we're going to put in our active AT&T SIM card right here, also micro SIM, so it fits in the hole just fine. Thank you very much. Put my micro SD card back in there. Put the battery back in. I'll put the back on so it doesn't complain about the waterproof thingy not being sealed up. And we'll boot her up. Now when you boot it up, again, this works this way with most phones, it's going to say, aha, wrong carrier SIM card, enter unlock code. Now you usually get 3 tries. If you flunk 3 times trying, so you get a bad unlock code, or you're drunk when you're trying to do this, then you'll have to get an unfreeze code, which is a little bit harder to find. Cellunlocker.net also can provide those to you, but those, try not to make mistakes, in other words. And that's why you should use somebody reputable so you're not monkeying around with the wrong unlock codes. And first it's going to ask for my fingerprint verification. And see, there it is. So now I'm going to punch in my code. And it says network lock. It was very quick. Kind of missed that there. Network unlock successful. So, and we're going to turn off Wi-Fi, in fact, so we make sure we're using data. And right now it's searching. Now let's see if we have any compatible bands on this phone to work with AT&T for data. Alright, so we had good old Edge. We didn't even have 3G at first, and that has to do with the APN, so this gets a little bit more geeky. What's an APN? It's some of your techie settings right here. We go into settings, we go into more networks. Now this will depend on the phone too. Some phones automatically pick up and have a lot of APNs, which is basically server connection list built in. Others, especially with Galaxy S5, carriers would prefer if you don't buy it on one network and then swap it to the other, so they don't make it too easy on you. So the basic one was just for Edge, 2G, and voice. So what I did is add in the APN for LTE. Under access point names there, I created this one. Now the important thing right here, though, that you have to enter in is the APN name, which is PTA in the case of AT&T's LTE and 4G network, meaning 4G HSPA Plus also. I didn't bother putting in the MMS field. You can find that online. You can Google on AT&T APN settings if that's the carrier you particularly want to move to. And for APN type, you have to type in all of that stuff in that field. If you tap on any field, you can actually edit it. So that's how we got the 4G showing up here. So let's give a data test now and see how it works. And we've got speedtest.net installed here. And let's run a test and see what we get. And those are HSPA speeds. I don't believe this has LTE bands for AT&T, this T-Mobile version. So again, you're going to have to check. It depends on the phone as to what LTE bands it's going to have. It's not uncommon for LTE bands to be pretty limited. With HSPA, which is usually called 3G, some carriers still call it 4G, you'll see up to pentaband commonly these days. That means 5 different bands. So you get a lot of coverage for overseas networks and for the major US networks as well. Not too great on the upload speed there. But anyway, obviously it works, and again, it's going to depend on the network, on the phone, on the carrier that you're choosing as to what speeds you get, but it's all good, it's all working. So there you go, that's how to unlock your phone, get an unlock code, and unlock your GSM phone. Again, not for CDMA phones, just for GSM phones, but really handy if you want to travel overseas, if you're picking up a used phone, that sort of thing. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to visit our website for more interesting articles on how to make the most of your phone, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.